Greetings, everyone. Richard Solomon, taking care of business. So I got a great story for you. Sitting on the couch, I'm watching Hawaii Five-0. It's a Friday night. I'm watching it, and Steve McGarrett and Dan Williams are chasing some guy, and then he blasts out of a window. It's a big running scene, and then the guy gets tackled into the river, and I'm like, I know that guy. Now, a little bit later on, I'm watching Madam Secretary, and then there's this out-of-control Russian submarine guy. I know that guy. And then I'm watching, like, The Blacklist, and yet there's this fiendish guy in the back of a limo. He takes a sip of water, passes out. I'm like, as he's passing out, I'm like, I know that guy. And, of course, who's that guy? That's Jack Dimich. That's our guest this week. He is an incredible actor, and he's actually a good friend. So, Jack, welcome to the show. Thank you for being part of our radio show. I know that you're really, really busy. And the big news is that you're going to be in a Netflix series, right?
That's right. Thank you for having me. First of all, Richard, I want to give my best to you and your audience and your listeners. Yes, I'm going to be on Netflix in Welcome to Brooklyn. We just finished that last week, a wonderful comedy in 3 episodes. And I'm playing a guy, a Russian mobster from Brighton Beach who thinks he's black.
Aha. All right. So that's a Netflix series.
That's right.
All right. So just for people who are listening, you've been in Law & Order, CSI, Burn Notice, Castle, Blacklist, Elementary, Power, Sleeper Cell, Hawaii Five-0, Madam Secretary, Lilyhammer, Limitless, and Undercovers. And I remember, I think that you were in Normandy. You played like a German officer.
Red Rose in Normandy. I'm playing a General Frank who killed 40,000 people in Krakow in Poland. Then Hitler moved him to Normandy when he was defending his positions against the Allies.
Wow. Now, from what I understand from your bio, you actually speak Russian, Serbian, Macedonian, Croatian, and English. So obviously you're an underachiever.
And I speak Czech too, but that's all right.
So where did you acquire all this acting capability, all this great drama, and all of this language capability? I mean, you don't just wake up one day and all of a sudden it's like, hey, I'm super talented.
Well, I lived in I was born and raised in former Yugoslavia, and of course I became a bilingual by the age of 10 when I had my Serbian native language, and then I started to learn Russian when I was like 8 years old. And by the time I was 12, I was speaking Russian. I could communicate in Russian, and by the time I was 16, I was reading books in Russian. And then later on, when my country, former Yugoslavia, fell apart, we had a bad civil war. I had to leave the country, and I lived in Czech Republic for 2 years, so I learned the language over there. So I claimed the Czech language as well. And then I came to this great country, and I learned English, and which was very difficult for me because it belongs to a different group of languages. And I had a speech coach, and Lee Dinner, who helped me a lot. And just to give you a hint, my first words in English was like rain, train, tomato, how are you? Where is this street? I'm an immigrant. I don't speak it. With the thick accent that I use once in a while for my characters now. And then with great effort and a wonderful teacher, Michael Magara, at least Strasberg, who was my mentor and main teacher for 4 years, I reached that goal to be an accomplished actor.
So what was your first role in America?
Good question. First role in America I was third year at Lee Strasberg, and I had an audition for Spike Lee's production called 3 a.m. It was directed by Lee Davis, produced by Spike Lee, and it was a small role of a cab driver from Bosnia, which is former Yugoslavia. It was like 3.5-minute role, and I was sharing the screen with great John Diaz and Bobby Carnival, who's starring now in that wonderful TV show in HBO called Vinyl.
So when you had this first role in the Spike Lee movie, how shameless?
Exactly.
How shameless was your self-promotion to everybody around the world that you knew?
Well, that was the year 2000. I was third year at Strasbourg, like I said, and I went to the audition and I won the role. I won the part among like probably 100, 200 people, and they gave it to me. And after that, I became a SAG member. That was my job number one. And by the way, I have a little news for you and for your audience. This morning, I just was offered a guest starring role in Brain Dead, a new TV series on CBS starring Tony Shalhoub.
Oh, wow. So breaking news. There you go. So breaking news. So
breaking news this morning, 10 o'clock, my agent called me. He said, Jack, they want you. And what's the good thing? It's a premiere. It's a first episode of the season one. That show just got picked up by CBS, and I'm gonna be guest starring in it.
Right. So, but you basically have been on all the networks essentially, because you've been on Hawaii 5-0, which is CBS, and Madam Secretary, and I think Blacklist, which is both NBC, and you've been on Burn Notice, which I think is what, USA.
Yeah. Yes.
And on. Elementary, I think, I don't know if that's ABC or not, but it's actually very, very cool. So you have you have a business relationship with a very well-known restaurant in New York City. You want to talk about that for a minute while we segue all over the place?
I will talk about that proudly. The name of that place is Fellini's. That's the place that I used to work after I graduated in East Strasbourg 15 years ago. And then I went to Los Angeles to pursue my acting career over there. And then I came back 2.5 years ago, and I became what we like to call a junior partner here in Fellini's. I come here and stay my customers, and I want to make sure they have the service they deserve. And I'm going to use this opportunity to thank wonderful owners of Fellini's, Derek Fellini and Joe Fellini. They were there for me when I was a struggling actor, when I was praying to God to get 2 minutes on the screen. And now when my career is taking off, we still have the same relation because they are wonderful people. And I'm intent to stay here for a long time, regardless whatever happens to me as an actor. I found myself as a member of the Fellini's family, and I found their restaurant as my home.
Well, I happen to love the food. Some of my clients who are, I guess, regulars in the courts, we sort of have a tradition that we always have to go to Fellini's for lunch. And one time I was incredibly upset because it said, we're closed today because they're filming Law and Order. And I was like, Jack.
Yeah, Jack was guest starring in it.
Right. Jack's career is interfering with my food.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry you couldn't have your lunch, Richard, but that's the part of the business.
I thought maybe I'd get like a nice bowl of, pasta fagioli, maybe like out the back door. best soup in New York City, pasta fagioli and Fellini's. And I encourage everybody who listens to this to come to this great place to try the best soup in New York City, which is pasta fagioli at Fellini's restaurant and 93 Baxter Street. I'll tell you, it is really so well situated for me because you only get a certain amount of time either before or after court, depending on which court you're going to, but you're nestled sort of right behind the criminal court. not too far from 1680 Center Street, which is the Supreme Court, not too far from Pearl Street, which is where one of the federal court buildings are. And a lot of times, I see that there's definitely the peak crowd comes in, and you see that there's a lot of lawyers and judges and prosecutorial people and all this other stuff, because I recognize them from the courts. And what's kind of nice is everybody just kind of ignores each other, from the business world. They just relax and have just a really nice lunch. And it's actually nice to kick back and sort of be, it's like to me, it's almost an old world kind of place, because it's got a very nice, comfortable, setup. And it reminds me of when you went and had a really nice meal in a restaurant long ago. And a lot of that has sort of been replaced by, I don't want to say fast food, but more faster food and, I don't know, fusion food and all this other stuff. And this is like, great classic Italian food. And what's really great about it is I get to eat healthy, because a lot of times you'll make me like, broccoli rabe and things like that. And, it just comes out spectacular. So, and I understand that maybe you'll help me interview some of the food people behind the scenes, and we'll do a nice little segment for the radio and YouTube on that.
It will be my pleasure, and knowing the owners, Derek and Joe, they will be very happy to help you, because again, that place is very unique. That place is it's an icon of New York City. It exists for 73 years. I think they started like in the 1940s. Their father started that in the 1940s.
Probably right after the war, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And their sons later on, I think they inherited like in 80s, and it's an icon. And whoever comes here, like 2 months ago, I had people that I work with in a TV show in Los Angeles, and I invited them for dinner here, and they said, Jack, this is like you brought us back to America in 1950s, and they felt ashamed because I knew more about America in 1950s than them, and I was born somewhere else.
You saw it in the movies. So
exactly, I had a privilege to only watch American movies in my country, in my homeland, in my back home, and when I came over here, they said, Jack, you playing our host in our country. It's impossible. I said, yeah, well, thanks to Fellini.
So just to review, you've been in live theater, you've been in film, you've been in television, you've been in commercials.
Yep.
And so all of them, I guess, present different time and acting challenges. Let's before we have to do a little break in about 2 minutes, but let's start with theater. You played the role of Nikola Tesla at the St. Mark's Theater in 2013. What was the play? Right. What was the play about, and how did you channel Tesla? How did you get in touch with your inner Tesla?
Well, for the people they don't know who we're talking about. Nikola Tesla was a genius who lived in this great country of ours, who came from former Yugoslavia. He was Serbian by nationality, and he came here, and he had over 700 inventions. And to make a long story short, whatever we have now, whatever we enjoy now when it comes to science, electronics, technology, we own that to him. If it wasn't for Nikola Tesla, we will never have a cell phone. If it wasn't for Nikola Tesla, we will never have electric car. If it wasn't for Nikola Tesla, we will never have a magnetic induction. If it wasn't for Nikola Tesla, we will never have a alternating current that can power every heavy machinery in this world, because before him it was Edison who only could power the light bulb. Right.
In fact, I believe at Niagara Falls there's a statue of Nikola Tesla.
That's him, and unfortunately I have to say that this world still didn't give enough credit to the genius who lit the world, that genius who was responsible for all the technology inventions that we have now, that we enjoy now, because the genius of Nikola Tesla will live forever. My favorite expression was when I had a press conference for for the show that I did in St. Mark's Theater, I still believe he was an alien. He was the guy from another planet who just stopped by here and gave us what we really needed for a long time.
Well, if you ever watch any of those cable channels where they talk about the ancient astronauts, that definitely dovetails with that theory. All right, when we come back, I'm sorry. Yeah. When we come back, I'm going to ask you the following lead question, which is, what was the most surprising thing that you learned about Nikola Tesla in your preparation for your role in portraying him? But we'll be right back. This is Richard Solomon with Ivan Krashevsky, the Russian mobster from Welcome to Brooklyn, also known as Jack Dimich. We'll be right back. Keep it locked here on Taking Care of Business with Richard Solomon and my very special guest, Jack Dimich. All right, welcome back, everybody. Richard Solomon, Taking Care of Business, tcbradio.com, and on YouTube, TCBRadioWCWP on the YouTube channel. And we have great stuff on there. This show and many others are posted, and we have an ever-expanding audience. And we are proud, very, very proud, and honored to have Jack Dimich with us. He is an incredible actor. He has been in television, film, live theater, in commercials, and he's an incredibly talented person, and he's an incredibly nice human being to get to know. I consider him a personal friend. He's now a friend of the show, and when we were, before the break, we were talking about theater, and I was asking the question, so when we come back to the break, from the break, what was the most surprising thing you learned about Nikola Tesla that you didn't see in some of the standard bios and Wikipedia and, I guess NikolaTesla.com? What was the most surprising thing to you from a revelational point of view?
That's a very good question, Richard. First of all, I got to tell you that I read every book that was written on Tesla before I took on that role. After I got the job. Because that's my job as an actor. You have to do research, and you have to do research thoroughly. You have to know everything about your character, especially when you play a historical person like Nikola Tesla was, because you take responsibility on your shoulders. You don't want somebody to tell you that you don't know what to do. But there is a wonderful book by Vladimir Pistol. He's a Serbian writer who wrote a book about Nikola Tesla's childhood and later on his development as a scientist, and there's a beautiful detail from his life, how he discovered electricity. And not too many people know that, but I can reveal that exclusively on your show.
Oh, please do. Also, talk a little louder if you can.
Yeah, okay. Vladimir Pistol, the author of that book, already revealed that in his book, but I don't know how many people that listens to your show read that book, but I can reveal that for you exclusively and for your audience.
Lay it on me, because I'm dying to hear this.
Tesla was 9 years old. He was playing in front of his house with his cat, his favorite cat, that he never gave a name to. The name of his cat was a cat, and he was a boy. And he was playing with him, and it was the summertime, and in that region, sometimes during the summer, we have like storms like we have in the United States. So we have lightnings and, and all of a sudden lightning the tree next to his house, which was like maybe 50 yards away from his house. And when the lightning hit the tree took the lightning and transferred it to the grass where Nikola was playing with his cat. And when Nikola touched the body of the cat, his fur, he saw sparks coming from the body of his cat. And he got scared because he didn't know what that is. He never experienced that. He experienced that in his life. So he went to his father. He went back to his house and went to his father, who was Christian Orthodox priest. And he said, "Dad, I don't understand. I was just playing with my cat, and all of a sudden, my cat lit up. I got all sparkles. I thought like he's gonna die. He's on fire or something. He goes, well, my son, that comes from the sky. We don't know what that is, but it's got to be very powerful. So why don't you spend time with it? And that's how Nikola got interested in electricity, that he never knew anything about before. And later on, of course, when he became a teenager, when he went to school, later on he graduated 3 universities, learned like 7 languages, and he studied in every important university in Europe. He developed all these inventions, and he was still grateful to his cat till the rest of his life.
Did he ever name the cat?
No, the cat never had a name, because there is a word in Serbian. There is a word in Serbian language which I speak, because Nikola, I have a fortune to share the same language, native language, like Nikola Tesla, and mačak is the word in Serbian for a female cat, and mačka for a male cat, and mačka is the word for female cat. So since his cat was a male, he didn't want to bother with the names. He just said, okay, you're going to be a cat, male cat, which is mačak in Serbian.
Wow, that's a great story. Yeah.
It is. It's a true story. Vladimir Pištalo, the writer of that book, dig that out by talking to his relatives, because Tesla left some relatives in this world, and it's a true story. And that's exact time when Nikola was curious about electricity, because he didn't know anything about that whatsoever. But that was the crucial moment in his life to make a decision to devote his life to that wonderful phenomenon that we still enjoy in these days. Like I said, without him, we will never have all these devices. Just one note for you and for your audience. In 1914, in an interview for New York Times here in New York, Tesla claimed that someday people will communicate through the devices they can fit in their pockets, and they will see each other and talk to each other across the big oceans. That was 1914, Richard. We are in 2016. We have cell phones, we have Skype, we have Viber, we have WhatsApp, whatever the apps we have on the Samsung or iPhones.
FaceTime, yeah, all that stuff. Exactly.
He predicted that in 1914.
That's incredible. Did you ever get?
And of course,
okay. Did you ever get a chance to meet any of his descendants?
There was a gentleman at the opening night when we did a play, Tesla, in St. Mark's Theater in 2013. I think he claimed he was some distant relative, and I met him. He just paid a compliment for my performance. He said, like, you look like him, you talk like him, I was really thrilled to hear that. But I didn't have a chance to spend time with him. There was a lot of people, and he kind of disappeared right after the opening party. So, and I didn't want to be too aggressive asking some questions, because I always thought I did my research. I did what I could, to develop that character.
So when you get a role, do you just bury yourself in the archives and libraries to just get everything that you can? Let's say like when you were General Franks, how did you research that role?
Well, General Franks was a historical person, and if we talk about that specific role, I had a special reason to develop it, because my father lost a family concentration camp in 1942 on July 12th. He lost entire family. He lost his mother. He lost his father. He lost his relatives because our nationality, my family's nationality, is Serbians. And according to Hitler, we made a historical mistake by protecting Jews in former Yugoslavia, which majority of Serbian people did. And Nazis, when they took power in former Yugoslavia, they hired Quislings. That's a Norwegian word for people that were affiliated with Nazis. And these Christians, in order to prove themselves to German Nazis, they started killing Jews and Serbs left and right. And they did accomplish that. Unfortunately, they killed like 1.7 million Serbs and 150,000 Jews in the region.
You know, that story is not really well documented because now I'm Jewish and I lost a lot of relatives, in Greece. The Greek Jews, it was March of 43, and we lost, I think, 97% of our population. But the story of the Serbs and their tremendous losses is really not well known.
Well, we can blame history for that, but to tell the truth, Richard, it is a shame because it is a fact. And I've read many books by American authors, by Russian authors, by Serbian authors, by Croatian authors, and they all agree in something that they took the right side. Serbs and Jews, they were on the right side. They were against a devil, against a beast. They were ready to destroy innocent people for no reason. And by the way, I read Mein Kampf, Hitler's book, when I was 14 years old.
Wow.
And there was a clearly stated in that book that the biggest enemies of Third Reich, and he opened the brackets in that sentence, Jews, number one, then Slavs, and then he opened another brackets. Of course, Serbs was the majority of the Slavs for him, and then he goes with gypsies and gays and all these people that he just thinks that he thought that should be exterminated. But coming back to that story about my dad, when I did research for General Franks, and I told my dad that I'm going to play one of the war criminals, he says, "Well, I understand you're an actor, and you got to do what you got to do." He told me, "Make sure you're believable," because he says, "Use our love to humanity that I taught you. Use that love in order to play hate." And that's what I actually did. So when people, they watched that film, they said, "Jack," that's what they said, "you look very good, but there is a hate in your eyes." What I just did, I transferred the love that my father taught me into the hate that General Frank had for Jews and Serbs.
Now, was it hard? Were you able to compartmentalize the role between your personal disdain for the people who executed and murdered your family? I mean, in many ways.
Richard, I want to be honest with you. It's easy to answer that question. It's hard to develop, but it's easy to answer that question. I'm a method actor, and I studied that for 4 years, and thanks to Michael Magara, my wonderful teacher and mentor, Dan Grimaldi, Irma Sandre, Robert Castle, Jeffrey Horn at Lee Strasberg, I learned that technique to develop the character that has got nothing to do with you. And like Michael used to say, "Jack, your job is to put yourself into somebody else's shoes. You will never be him. You will always be Jack. That character, historical or not, will be that character. But your job is to make believable what you're playing for the people that are paying a ticket to see you. And it's my obligation and it's my passion to do that. But of course, Richard, to answer your question finally, I will never become that character. In that case, I will be in the Belgian hospital, which I don't believe I belong to.
So let's transition a little bit because I've never been able to ask a real actor this question, which is, what is the difference for you as an actor between doing film and television, other than the fact that movies are much longer?
Yeah.
Well, is there a difference? Are they just produced differently? In my opinion, Richard, they just produce differently. But for an actor, I'm talking about myself now. I don't want to talk on behalf of other actors. For me, everything comes down to my character. My job that
that I was schooled for 4 years at Strasbourg is to serve my character, regardless what media it is, film, television, stage. And of course, if I may answer your question, I prefer stage. Because stage is, like we like to say, there is no tricks on stage. Everything is live, you have no right to make a mistake, right? So whatever I do, it's right there on stage. The first, the second, the third, the fourth row can see it right away. There is no editing, there is no post-production. And I prefer that.
Well, that's
and it's the toughest job in the world for an actor to be on stage, to be believable, and to convince people that he's in somebody else's shoes. But to be honest with you, Richard, I find pleasure to work on film and on television as well.
Does live theater keep you sharper?
Say it again?
Does live theater keep you sharper?
Of course.
Yeah.
It's like real life. Like when I met you last time, we had a nice lunch at Fellini's and everything. We didn't have to repeat our lines. You were genuine. I was genuine. Hey, you said, Jack, good to see you. I said, yeah, good to see you too, Richard. Yeah, what we're going to have? Pasta fagioli or whatever. We didn't have to repeat that. That's the beauty of the live theater.
Exactly.
Like great Stanislavski, who started this technique, so-called method acting, said a long time ago, the beauty of the live theater is you don't have to repeat yourself.
Well, in many ways, that's like our radio show because we don't really edit. We just kind of just fly. We just fly right through. So
and that's what I love about that. It's like, you remember when we agreed to do this interview, my main question was, are you going to edit it? Because I don't want you to edit it.
No,
people love genuine people that got something to say, and you don't have to put a makeup on their words.
Well, we also don't have the budget for editing, so we just have to wing it.
Listen, even if you do, if I have an interview for CBS tomorrow because of this show that I'm doing for them, I will ask for the same thing. There is nothing more powerful, like my dad, like my wonderful father says, there is nothing more powerful than a man's actions and words without editing and makeup.
It's like with the Beatles, Let It Be Naked, where they actually just had the music to the raw bits,
That's right. And when we go back to real life, it is the same. The most powerful thing in real life when you tell somebody you love him and you don't have to repeat yourself. All
right. We are just flying through. We only have like a couple of minutes in this segment. So to finish this segment out, I want to ask one question that probably shows my, stardom, like what do you call it, starstruckness, which is, do you like being an actor portraying a historical figure or a composite figure, or does it matter?
For me, it's in writing. If writing is good, Richard, I don't care. Historical, fiction, if writing is good, and if I see myself in the shoes of that character, I will take the job.
All right, so that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. All right, so that's this segment of radio. So hold on, we still have one more segment to go. This is Jack Dimich. He's an incredible actor. In case you have just joined us, we have covered. Jack is a live theater performer. He is a film actor. He's been on numerous television shows. He's going to be on a Netflix series called Welcome to Brooklyn. I was just there today. In 2013, he portrayed the great and late Nikola Tesla at the St. Mark's Theater. And we'll be right back. We talked a little bit about Forlini's, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that because you can't end a radio show without a nice, cappuccino and a little dolce. Richard Solomon, keep it locked in, and with Jack Dimich. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. Richard Solomon, taking care of business, tcbradio.com. Okay, so in case you're just joining us, we're with Jack Dimich, and we were talking all about his incredible acting career and his incredible gastronomic career as well. So before we kind of edge back into some of the great Italian food that he's really well associated with, I see from your very impressive resume that some of the work that you were involved in were Academy Award nominees, In the Name of the Sun and The Tour, to name a couple of things. Let's talk about that for a minute. To talk about In the Name of the Sun.
In the Name of the Sun was a short feature film about a conflict in Bosnia where I play a father who executed the son because he was in love with the woman from different nationality. And it was based on a true story that the director experienced who shot the film. The director was from Sarajevo, and he picked me to be playing a leading man, a father who killed his son. It was a wonderful experience as an actor, but very tough experience as a human being because me personally, the way I was raised by my great father to believe that all people are human and all people they deserve and they earn the right to live on this planet of ours. The film won 22 film festivals. We were nominated for Academy Award in 2008 for the short feature film. We didn't get it, but that's all right. I'm proud of their work, and that's all I can tell you about that part because I suffered for a long time playing that character because that character represents everything opposite that I will do in my real life because I will never take somebody's life who belongs to different nationality or different beliefs.
And then let's talk about The Tour. That was a 2009 Academy Award qualifier for Best Foreign Film.
That's right. The Tour was the foreign film qualifier for Academy Award 2009. I'm playing a Captain Stankovic, the Serbian officer who was experienced the loss of the people in the field in a civil war in Bosnia.
Wow. So you must be very proud of those achievements. Are you up for any other awards, anything that I haven't mentioned yet?
I won the Best Actor in Geneva with my film Echoes in 2011, but that's like a regional festival in Europe, so didn't have any echoes in the United States.
All right. So now let's turn to the more fun part of food and
my favorite part.
All right. So we started the show with Fellini's. I guess we'll kind of segue back to that a little bit. You've been a part of Fellini's for how long?
I met wonderful Fellini's family in 2001 before I went to Los Angeles, and I spent like a year with them, and I had a ball because that's the most unique place in New York City. But I had to go to Los Angeles because of my career, and fortunately, I came back 13 years later, and I'm still with them.
All right, now, do you actually ever go into the kitchen and cook anything yourself?
If I go to the kitchen and if I cook something, I will be fired immediately. So thank God I don't cook. I'm just here to entertain the customers and give them a good time and having a wonderful relationship with the owners, Derek Fellini and Joe Fellini. And by the way, I know it's important for your show. We are a unique place in New York City. There is no place that you can say is better than Broadway because we have a better food.
So of the great food there, what are your favorite dishes? What do you like?
My favorite.
Yeah.
You know what? If I started now, I will finish next morning.
Okay.
Let me start.
What do you like for lunch? For
lunch, let me start with beautiful panzerotti piacentina, a wonderful Italian pasta that was developed from the region where the owners are from, which is the Piacenza, that's in northern Italy. And it's a miniature manicari stuffed with cottage cheese and spinach in a creamy bolognese sauce. That's my favorite lunch.
Okay.
If we go back to dinner, let's go for stuffed shrimps. With crab meat, goes in the oven first, we bake it together, comes out with sauteing virgin olive oil from Sicily, Pinot Grigio white wine sauce, then we put a bed of linguine pasta, we put those stuffed shrimps on top of the linguine, put them back in the oven, bake it together, and serve for the customers. There is no place in New York City that have that.
Maybe we got to get you guys on the Food Network, on one of those Food Network shows.
Are you feeling hungry already, Richard? No problem. We're going to chip some for you.
All right, great. Well, we're going to do a show. We're going to do a show about some of these things. Now, have you learned any of the secret formulas for any of the great recipes?
That I cannot reveal. You got to talk to the owner. Otherwise, I might lose my position in this wonderful establishment.
Well, what's actually very nice is when on a cold winter day, you actually have a nice array of soups. And I remember you may have been busy in Europe filming, and I remember one of the waiters said to me, it's kind of cold. Why don't you start with a bowl of soup? And you know what? It really was the perfect thing, because one of those days where it's like kind of half raining and half snowing. It was chilly and damp, and you know what? I was hungry and tired, and you know what? It kind of it really hit the spot. It was actually kind of nice. So what are the soups that you like, and what would you like if you were having lunch today? What would be the soup today?
Jolly, Richard. The signature soup of Fellini's, pasta fagioli, lentil soup, all homemade, minestrone, stracciatella, brodetto. We have everything here.
By the way, do you speak Italian? Yeah, you do?
Parlo italiano un poco, capisco molto.
That's awesome.
But I cannot claim that, Richard. I want to be honest to you and your audience. They're listening to us right now. I cannot claim the language. I played Italian once. I played a wonderful writer, David Scavato from Milan, in a film, The Wall, in Los Angeles. And I almost got the role of the famous Italian painter, but I cannot reveal that because I didn't get the role.
Okay. So, in terms of filming at Fellini's, have they done more than one show? I think there was a couple of times when they were filming inside the restaurant.
You kidding me? Law and Order was here 10 times. Blue Bloods was here 2 times, and more to come, because as far as my career is taking off, I'm going to make sure that industry people recognize this place. And don't be surprised if I get a serious regular that half of that will be shot in Fellini's.
Well, make sure I get the schedule so I know to order my food either early or late.
And plus, Rick, a very important thing, we have a lot of celebrities coming. We have Peter Gallagher coming here. We have Stephen Bauer coming here. We have Tom Selleck coming here. We have Mariska Hargitay coming here for Law and Order that I work with. We have Danny Peña that I work with in Law and Order. We have a lot of people from industry. My line of business, acting business, they love Fellini's. They come here and they find Fellini's as their house. And very important, Richard, I don't want your audience to take me wrong, because I don't work in marketing for Fellini's. I'm just an actor. Whole court, district court, criminal court, federal court from New York City finds their favorite lunches places right here at Fellini's restaurant.
Do you deliver to the courts, to like the judges and stuff?
We deliver to another planet. Yeah. We don't.
That's funny. All I can say is I was in federal court in the 1980s, and I was on an incredibly long trial, really long trial. And it seemed as though many of the people on this year-long trial all ate at this particular diner, because it was just one of those things where it was just really close, and the key people decided that's where everybody was going to eat. So all of us ate there. What was interesting is there were a lot of trials involving high-profile criminal defense matters.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because the people that we saw on the news were sitting at tables either next to us or taking the food back to the courthouse. And it was kind of interesting. It was really interesting. Nobody realizes that the people who eat sort of near the courts, you could be near the district attorneys, the U.S. attorneys, big judges, well-known, lawyers.
Everybody knows. Everybody knows Fellini's, Richard.
But that's the thing.
You know what happened to me? What happened to me the other day? I went out for lunch with a friend of mine, and the waiter in the restaurant on the Upper East Side recognized me. I thought he recognized me from the movies. He recognized me from Fellini's.
well,
I said, well, wait a minute. Wait. I said, what did you steal? Law and Order, CSI, Burn Notice, Castle, Limitless? Or he goes, no, Jack, I saw Fellini's having dinner with the owner. I said, well, thank you so much. I'll take it as a compliment. He goes, take it as a compliment because I never had a better dinner in my life. And that guy is the waiter in the competition of Fellini's somewhere in Upper East Side where all these, like, you know what I'm saying.
Well, what's it? Well, I'll tell you this. You know, of the different clients I have, one of my clients has a wife who's of Italian descent, and she loved your food, and she's the real deal because she grew up with homemade Italian food, you know, as a kid. So she said this was spectacular stuff. So in the few minutes that we have left,
that's the right word in English. And I'm sorry, Richard, English is my fifth language. Spectacular is the right word for this food.
So what could we look forward to seeing you, you know, in 2016, 2017?
You're going to see me in a month. I'm shooting next week. Wonderful show called Brain Dead with Tony Shalhoub, the guy from Monk.
Yep, I remember Monk.
I'm gonna be a guest star in that show next week, buddy.
All right, and then what else is on the horizon that you're free to talk about?
I'm on hold. Good question. I'm on hold for the new show called Startup in San Juan, Puerto Rico. I want to be honest with you. They didn't offer me a part yet, but if they do, it will be by this Friday. It will be 3 episodes. I will be playing a German assassin from Munich.
Ah, that's interesting.
If I get the job.
Do you play a lot of bad guys?
Mostly bad guys, but in Fellini's I play a good guy.
Right, but is that because of the beard?
Beard, bald, whatever the role requires.
Do you now? I've noticed that some of the things that you do are very action packed. Do you do your own stunts?
I do my own stunts, and I did everything except the bridge in Honolulu, Hawaii. They wanted to have a stuntman because I had to sign a contract. If something happens to me, I will have to provide financially for that, which I refused.
Gotcha. So basically, all the running, the jumping out the window, that was just you.
Jumping out the window, running, everything was me in every scene, in every show, except the bridge in Honolulu, Hawaii.
That's quite impressive. That's quite impressive.
Part of my job, Richard. Thank you so much.
So down the road, are we going to see any books by you? Are you going to write anything about all of? Yeah, is there an autobiography in the making?
I'm going to write a book someday when I'm happy with my career and my life, when I accomplish what I want to accomplish, and when I make my parents proud. They send me to this beautiful country of ours, so-called United States of America.
All right. So before we end, it's shameless plug time. Do you have a website?
Yes, I do. www.jackdimich.com.
And that's JACKDIMICH.com. Do you have a YouTube channel?
Right.
Do you? I know the answer to this, but do you have a YouTube channel and pieces?
Jack Dimich YouTube. That's right.
Right.
Jack Dimich Actors Access, Jack Dimich IMDb, and Jack Dimich Fellini's 93 Baxter Street.
That's right. Now, hey, does Fellini's have a website?
Yes, they do, and they have a Facebook page as well. So I'm encouraging your audience to go to visit the Facebook page at Fellini's Restaurant and a website as well. They can see the menu. They can see what unique food this wonderful establishment offers.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Although you have phenomenal food, one of the things that you do best is actually coffee. Because during the afternoon in between court sessions, there is nothing more important than an incredibly refreshing hot cappuccino.
Richard, there is a wonderful thing for your audience. Whoever comes to Fellini, recognize my work. The boss personally comes, Derek Fellini, and he offers them a drink on the house after dinner. And then we have a chat. We talk about shows. We talk about film industry. And we would like to do the same thing for your show, Richard. When you come over here, we want to honor you. I mean, I can talk on the behalf of Derek Follini, who's the owner. He wants to honor you to come here to have a wonderful night with us. That's what we do for our customers, our Facebook customers.
And I would be honored. By the way, don't you also have entertainment as well?
And anybody who's assisting to your show or mentioned that they listen to your show, they're very welcome to be with us here for dinner. We're going to buy them after dinner drink.
Perfect. Now, just before we close,
that's what we do for wonderful people. They are faithful to Fellini's and to Jack Dimich and his acting career.
Perfect. Now, you guys have entertainment once in a while, don't you? Like live entertainment?
Yes, we do. Very good question. We have a wonderful Angelo there. Well, first week, every first Friday in every month, he sings Italian songs from Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin from 50s and 60s, and we usually packed. You cannot find a seat.
But if you use the famous handshake and say Rich Solomon sent you,
right. If you call in advance, of course you can get a table.
There you go. All right. So this is Richard Solomon. I have been honored, not only in this show,
I was honored as well.
But in life to know Jack. There's a reason why you meet people. I don't know why there's a reason, but I know there's a reason that we meet the people that we do. And I am honored to know.
My father used to call that a universe.
Right.
That's why you came to Fellini's. That's why I met you, and that's why you're doing this show. We call it a universe.
Right, but this is just the beginning of a long line of friendship and merriment and celebrations. And I will, and for the people out there, as Jack gets newer and updated information about his shows where he is, I'll keep adding that to the bottom part of the YouTube summary that says, "Hey, catch Jack in." Welcome to Brooklyn. On this or Netflix. So we'll be following your career, and we'll be enjoying.
Thank you so much. If I may say something for your audience at the end, Fellini's is famous already. Is going to be famous even more this year, and I'm glad to be part of it.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Continued success. You have an incredible career. You have incredible talent. And not only that, and as they say in Yiddish, you have a nice neshama, which means a good soul, good soul.
And I have the right people on my side.
So there you go.
Thank you so much, Mr.
So the next time I see you, I'll be sitting next to you at a table. We'll be sharing a cup of coffee and maybe a little...
and a pasta fagioli.
And a little pasta fagioli.